Fall has officially descended over Texas. It's been down in the lower 40s the last couple days. It's been rainy and dreary and just not good flying weather overall, not even for IFR. It's been kind of icy up there in the clouds. So I'm going to take this time with crappy weather indoors to sit down and address kind of a slew of questions about a certain category that a lot of people have asked me over time. Essential flight gear, what I carry in my flight bag. Now, what is essential to me may not be essential to you, but I am going to show the different things that I carry in my flight bag every time I go fly. And then I'm going to cover a few do's and don'ts with carrying items with you when you're flying, where you should keep them, where you shouldn't keep them, all that kinds of stuff. Now, as I'm going through this list of gear, and if I mention a certain product or show a certain product, I'm going to provide a link to it chronologically down in the description. So if you've got any questions about where to go to that stuff, just go right down to the description. It'll take you right there. So let's go ahead and dive into it and talk about the essential flight gear to me that I carry in my flight bag. We're going to start with the first and most important item on this list, your headset. Now, before you drop down there and leave a comment and say, well, some airplanes don't have an intercom and you don't need a headset in them. Yes, I get it. I've flown a Piper Cub. I know. Some airplanes don't have intercoms in them and you don't necessarily need a headset. I get it. But for the majority of what we're flying, people in 172s, 152s, Warriors, Cherokees, all that kind of stuff, you're going to take a headset with you. Lightspeed Aviation makes the headset that I've been using for the last 7 years. This is the headset that I bought in 2011 right before I did my first solo. Even if I'm really not intending to go fly, this is probably going to be in my backpack just in case somebody asks me if I want to go fly. This specifically is the Lightspeed. It was a Lightspeed Zulu 2. Lightspeed upgraded it to a Zulu 3 with a new cable, new remote, and earmuffs and everything. It's a phenomenal headset, extremely comfortable, extremely attractive, and this thing is like a truck. It just goes and goes and goes. It's been dropped, it's been kicked, it's been dangled by the cable, there's dents and scratches in the earmuffs. It's such a great headset. Now, I want to talk about the difference between carrying a headset with you in your flight bag and storing it in your airplane if you own one. Personally, I do both. I carry this Lightspeed Zulu 3 with me all over the place, and it pretty much lives in my backpack. And then in my airplane, I've got a few Lightspeed Zulus and a few Lightspeed Sierras. That way, if I'm at the airport and I'm gonna go fly and somebody comes up to my hangar, one of my hangar neighbors or something, and says, hey, can I go with you? No problem, I've got headsets for you. Now, on the flip side of that coin, if you only keep headsets in your airplane and you don't carry one with you, you might be out and about, maybe at another airport, or a friend says, hey, why don't you come fly with me? And if they don't have an extra headset, you're kind of screwed into going out to your airplane and getting one of your headsets. So that being said, I always carry one of the Lightspeeds with me on my backpack, and then I carry a few of them, keep a few of them in my airplane. Now, of course, if you've got a nice headset like the Zulus or the Sierras that take batteries, carry extra batteries with you. I've got a full pocket of these in my backpack. And the great thing about these A&R headsets is when the batteries die, the headset does not become useless. You can still hear the intercom and ATC and everything. You might have to turn it up a little bit, but all that happens when the AA batteries die is your noise reduction goes away. So you want to get your noise reduction back or re-enable the ability to listen to music, whatnot, just pop new batteries in there. Have these within reach during flight. The next item on the essential flight gear list is a handheld radio. Now, a handheld radio is going to serve a bunch of different purposes. The first main one that I use it for very often is asking ATC a question like ground, ask ground a question before I even start at the airplane. In some instances, I'll pick up my IFR clearance before I even start the airplane up. I'll just kind of like sit in my hangar and just call clearance and copy the clearance down, and then I'll get in the airplane and start up the airplane and go. If I want to just real quick listen to the weather, I don't have to boot up the avionics, just turn on the handheld radio, punch the frequency in. This is a Yaesu FTA 230. It's a really good radio. It's fairly cheap. It's limited on its functions. It doesn't really do much. It's just a simple receive, transmit. The other thing, of course, is using this in the airplane if you have to. If you have a full-blown electrical meltdown or radio meltdown, at least you'll have a way to communicate with the outside world. In some way, I believe these guys are limited to 5 watts transmit power. You gotta kind of get close to an airport or get close to an ATC transmitter receiver in order to hear it inside the airplane, but it's there if you need it. Again, keep this within reach in the airplane. I always do. The next item on the list is some way to view charts, whether it be VFR charts, IFR approach plates, procedures, all that kind of stuff. You need a way to view that stuff. There are 2 main ways to view that type of stuff. The first way is by some tablet of some sort. Using an electronic flight bag app, you install it on the tablet or iPad, and it installs all the charts, different settings. These days, that's pretty much the way to go. But I'm gonna get crucified for saying this. Paper maps work great. And in fact, for student pilots, I recommend you don't even get an iPad or a tablet until you pass your check ride and kind of start to dip into instrument and the more advanced navigation. First learn walk, then learn run. Learn on the paper charts, get the fundamentals down first, and then move on to the fancy toys like an iPad or a tablet. That being said, always carry a backup. Now, There's not much that can go wrong with paper unless you straight up like let it fly out the window or something. With an iPad, these things die. They freeze, they lock up, they shut down. It has happened to me so many times, and I thank myself for giving myself an out and a backup and carrying a backup with me. Now you can structure your backups however you'd like. You can carry an iPad plus a paper chart. You can carry 2 iPads, that's what I do. Or also what I do, you can carry 2 iPads and an iPhone, an iPad and an iPhone. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you're carrying, if it's an electronic device, make sure the charts are up to date on everything and they're downloaded. That way your device is not trying to pull the charts from the internet while you're up in the airplane, and that's gonna be a nightmare. It's not gonna work. So you need a way to view your charts, be it electronically or on paper, and always have a backup of some sort. I'm gonna have to go into a whole separate video about the whole electronic side of navigation and using an iPad and the different types of apps that you can use and all that kind of stuff. That's gonna be a whole separate video. Now I will say that if you're using an iPad with ForeFlight or a Samsung tablet with Garmin Pilot, anything like that, you're gonna need some way to feed a reliable GPS signal to that tablet or to that iPad. It's really affordable to have some sort of ADS-B receiver with you. This is a Stratus 2S. I believe I bought it for $900. There's even new devices out there now that are even cheaper and do the same thing. It gives you traffic and weather and pushes it all to the iPad. It's a great tool. Great to have, battery operated, lasts 8 hours. That's always in my flight bag. Now, if you watch my videos a lot and you keep up, you'll know that I like to write everything down. Even simple turn left heading 360, I write that down. Climb and maintain 3000, I write that down. Kneeboard. So important. I didn't used to have one of these in training, and now I look back and I'm like, why didn't I get one of these? It straps around your leg, it kind of sits right above your knee, and I've got a little half-sheet legal pad on here with a pen. The pen clips right on the side here. You write down all your instructions. This particular Kneeboard is an ASA IFR Kneeboard, and it's got a bunch of IFR stuff here. Filing a flight plan, special equipment suffix, reporting, lost comms. It's just got so much stuff on here. Really good resource to reference. I've used this during a check ride. I think it was my commercial check ride. I was asked a question that I didn't quite remember the answer to, and the examiner was like, well, where could you find it? And I was like, actually, I think that's on my Kneeboard. There's nothing wrong with pulling this out and taking a look at it. A little tip that a couple of people that I fly with have adopted, I put a teeny tiny binder clip right here at the bottom, and that's because when this is sitting on my lap and I've got the vents turned on me and it's blowing air on me, the wind will actually blow the pages up, and it's really annoying because I can't read what I wrote or write on it or anything like that, so I just put a binder clip down there to weigh it down and keep those pages from flapping around. Just a little tip. Now, I don't know about you, but I love flying at night. I think that's one of the most peaceful and magical times to fly. Take a flashlight with you. This particular flashlight is awesome. I think it was like 20 bucks, I want to say. It's a Smith & Wesson. That's pretty cool, right? It's got 2 buttons here. It's got a white. So you got a white light on there, and then you got a red. The red is, can you even see it on the camera? Yeah, okay. The red is super nice for checking the temperature gauge in the cockpit of the airplane, or like glancing under the panel to look at something or whatnot. It just helps preserve your night vision in the airplane, and it doesn't like totally blind you when you light it up in a dark cockpit. The white is absolutely great for doing pre-flight on the airplane. It's a great little flashlight. It's super small. It just fits right in your hand like that. And it even comes with a little holster. I'll provide a link to this down in the description. I don't remember the model or whatnot, but it's on Amazon, I know that. It's a great little flashlight. I attach the holster to the little shoulder pad on my backpack, and the flashlight just sits right there, and it's super quick access. If you do any night flying whatsoever, it's so cheap, 20 bucks. Carry a good flashlight with you. So in this day and age, with all the technology and all that good stuff, you need a way to charge stuff if your day of flying goes on a little longer, maybe the batteries drain a little faster than you thought. Take some sort of charger. I love this thing. It's made by Anchor. It's a 20,100 milliamp battery, and you got the 4 lights on here. I got mine numbered 1 because I have several of these. It's got 2 USB ports and then I believe that's a micro USB to charge it. If you run the battery down on this thing, it takes all night to charge, but it will charge your iPad like 6 times. And trust me, the last thing you want is to have a flat tire at an airport or an engine that won't start and your phone's dead. That is such a nightmare, and it's so easily avoidable. Buy a charger and take it with you. This next item is something that not a lot of people think about. If you wear contact lenses, it's actually required that you carry a set of glasses with you. I wear contacts. I have 2 sets of glasses. 1 set of glasses I keep on my nightstand and stuff, use it around the house. The other pair of glasses I keep in my backpack. Contacts do kind of screw up and they dry out as the day wears on, and you might blink weird and one of them pops out and whatnot. You do not want that while you're flying. That's happened to me. It happened to me while I was a solo student, and I am so grateful that I took glasses with me, and I had glasses readily accessible in the cockpit. That being said, if you wear contacts, take a contact case with you and go ahead and pre-fill the little canisters with fluid. Just have it ready to go. And in fact, one of my students even taught that to me because I never carried a contact case with me. I always just said, well, if one of them pops out, I'm just going to take the other one out and throw it away. Fill the little canisters with fluid so you don't have to carry the big bottle of contact solution, and then just toss this in your backpack with your glasses. And that way, if your eyes are feeling uncomfortable or something, you can just pop your contacts out, put them in the case so they're good for later, and then throw your glasses on. If you wear contacts, you're required to carry glasses with you. Now, there's a lot of people that have their reservations about listening to music while you fly. When you start taking trips in an airplane that goes 100 knots and you're flying for 450 nautical miles at a time, you're going to want to listen to something. Maybe an audiobook, maybe a podcast, maybe some music, something. But of course, Apple got all sorts of smart and they took away my headphone jack. Thus, the need for a Bluetooth adapter. This is a great little unit. It was $20 on Amazon, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Link in the description. It's got this little stereo 3.5mm coupler. It's got a port there. It Bluetooths to my phone and I can just plug this right into my audio panel or any airplane that has an auxiliary music jack. This was, in my opinion, money well spent. It's tiny. Charge it up fully, the battery lasts like 15 hours, and it doesn't take long to charge at all. It's not absolutely essential, but it's a nice little thing to have, and I always carry it around in my backpack. This is more so for high altitude operations. I didn't used to carry this until I started to going places like Colorado, Nevada, where I'm constantly cruising at like 12,000 feet, 11,000 feet in an unpressurized cabin. It's a pulse oximeter. You go to the doctor, they light one of these things up, they put it on your finger, hold still, and then you can like start to feel your heartbeat in the tip of your finger. It's measuring your pulse and it's measuring your oxygen, your O2 saturation in your blood. That's all it's doing. I've got 96% oxygen in my blood. I believe this thing was like $20 on Amazon, so take these readings for what it's worth. I mean, this was kind of a cheap one. This is just something to kind of check yourself while you're up at cruise on autopilot, just make sure all's good. You're not starting to lose your cookies to hypoxia and all that kind of stuff. Little pulse oximeter. Good, you can get good deals on them on Amazon. You can get pretty good quality ones. Link will be in the description. Okay, we're kind of at the last essential flight gear item here. And you could argue that this isn't necessarily a flight gear item. This can go for a lot of aspects of life. In my wallet, I always make sure I have at least 2 plastic payment methods. That means 2 credit cards or a credit card and a debit card, you know, whatever it may be, but have 2 ways that you can swipe a card at a fuel pump and get fuel. The last thing you want is to be in the middle of nowhere with nearly empty tanks and you need to get gas to make it somewhere else or to get to your next destination or something, and your card's getting declined for some reason. When you're traveling long distances in an airplane, getting fraud flagged is a huge thing. God, it happens to me all the time, and especially when I get a new credit card, it gets fraud flagged, and then I'm sitting there and I can't pay for the fuel, and the pump won't even turn on. It just becomes a nightmare. Take 2 plastic payment methods with you. And it's also a good idea to carry a decent amount of cash with you. You never know what's going to happen. You might stop at a podunk airport, and all of a sudden they tell you, well, we take cash only for fuel. And you're like, what? You know, a lot of people these days don't carry cash anymore. I used to be guilty of that, but I found myself in a bit of a tight situation before because all I had was plastic. So 2 plastic payment methods and cash. I will not be providing links to that in the description. Let's cover some do's and don'ts about carrying stuff in your bag or stuff that you shouldn't carry in your bag. Now, the first thing I would like to talk about is this. Your precious, precious logbook. The only reason that I could see that you would want to carry your logbook with you in your flight bag, in the airplane, on your adventures with you, is if you're a student pilot. Now, even at that, the reason a student pilot is supposed to carry their logbook is because it's got the endorsements in it. Now, the CFI could write these endorsements on a separate piece of paper and sign it and date it and all that kind of stuff, and that would be legal. That's all the student needs to carry with them. But there's a number of reasons you shouldn't carry your logbook with you. First of all, the FAA does not want you to carry your logbook with you if you can avoid it. I used to keep my logbook right in my flight bag, but then after I kind of heard this spiel from the FAA when I took my CFI check ride, it made a lot of sense to me and I stopped carrying my logbook with me. Because if you have an accident, something happens, the airplane goes down, and the airplane catches on fire, and you escape, you're obviously not going to turn around and make the effort to grab your flight bag if your life depends on it. Well, guess what? The entire record of your flight training, everything, just burned up in that fire. And with that logbook, there went your proof that you were current and legal to fly. So if you're a student pilot, you need to have your endorsements with you when you're flying solo. That's why a lot of student pilots carry their logbooks with them, because in the very back of the logbook is where the endorsements are, and that's usually where the CFI signs. Thus, the student just takes their logbook with them. But as a licensed pilot, you have no reason to carry this. I would recommend you do not carry it. Lock it up in a fireproof safe in your home. You want it where it's easily accessible because every time you fly, you're obviously gonna have to come back and log in your flights. But when you're done, put it in a fireproof safe and lock it up. So even if the house burns down, your record of all of your flying, which for some of us is our whole aviation love story, is in this book. You don't want that to burn up. That way, if your house goes down, your logbook's good. I know of a lot of people who have carried their logbooks with them in their flight bag. They kept it in the flight bag and they left their flight bag in the car when they went to work or went to go eat or something. Their car gets broken into, the thief sees that there's an iPad, a headset, and all kinds of stuff in this flight bag. They take the flight bag. There goes your logbook. I don't care about the headsets, I don't care about the iPads, take my Kneeboard. You do not want this stolen. It is a nightmare. Trust me, I have several friends who have gone through it. It is a nightmare when your logbook gets stolen. Lock it up. Keep it safe, lock it up. Now the next thing is about your medical certificate and your pilot certificate. Now here in the US, you're required to have those on your person when you're flying. I've run across many people in the past who keep those in their flight bag. I would not recommend it. I screwed myself out of flying a couple of times because I did keep them in my flight bag, and an opportunity came up on short notice to go fly an airplane. Didn't have my pilot certificate or medical with me. It was in my flight bag and I didn't have my flight bag with me. Keep it in your wallet, keep it in your purse, keep it in whatever you're pretty much always gonna have with you. That being said, also here in the United States, you're required to have a photo ID with you, like a driver's license or a passport or something. Your driver's license is usually in your wallet or your purse, so you might as well just go ahead and keep your pilot certificates and your medical in the same place as that, and that way all your documents are in one place and you're good to go. You don't even have to worry about where's my certificates, where's my flight bag, I need my flight bag, all that kind of stuff. You don't even have to worry about that. You got your stuff right here. And the last point that I want to stress is always keep your flight bag within reach during flight. You want, as pilot in command sitting in your seat, you can't get up. You can't like go to the back of the cabin or crawl over the seats and go back there to get something out of your flight bag. Set it in the seat next to you, or just set it in the back seat, right there where you can reach it. But you've got to be able to reach your flight bag, because you've got stuff like your radio, your flashlight, your contact case, your glasses, everything in there that you might need during flight. Keep it within reach of you. I've seen a ton of people do pre-flight and they stick their backpack or their flight bag in the baggage door in the baggage compartment, close it and lock it, and they say, okay, I'm ready to fly. Well, how are you gonna reach your stuff? What if you need that handheld radio? What if you need that flashlight? You need to have it within reach. All of this is just my recommendation, and it's just what I carry in my flight bag with me. It's kind of a rough flow and system that I have that I've developed over the last 1,200 hours of flight time. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. These are just recommendations, and I'm answering the questions that have been asked of me a lot. I do hope you found some useful information in this video. If you did not, please leave a comment down below. Let me know why it wasn't useful, and let me know what I could do to improve it. If you've got additional questions that you'd like for me to answer on camera, or additional things about flying, talking points that you would like me to talk about, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to head down to the description and check out all the links that I posted there. The links that I did post down there are the products that I strongly recommend, the products that I use and love. So definitely check out those links. Don't forget to like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay current, and stay proficient. Lock your logbook up. We'll see you later.